The village of Dolton is more than $3.5 million in the hole. Mayor Tiffany Henyard is accused of misusing money, and today she's nowhere to be found.
I don't do anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
You're not going to answer how taxpayer dollars are being spent? That seems odd.
I just answered it. What do you mean? I just answered your questions.
You said you wouldn't answer about Las Vegas.
The drama surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard is heating up as federal authorities have reportedly uncovered evidence suggesting that she has been truly involved in laundering and misusing public funds. The embattled mayor of the Chicago suburb, who proudly calls herself the super mayor, is now under the scrutiny of a criminal investigation. Just late April, FBI agents served subpoenas to Henyard at the Dolton Township Hall, demanding a wealth of business records and financial reports. As both the mayor of Dolton and the Dolton Township supervisor, Tiffany has been accused of using taxpayer money for her personal gain, including funding a police security detail and indulging in extravagant travel. Could this newfound evidence be the key to finally sending Tiffany to jail? And what exactly is the evidence against her? Let's dive in and find out.
Keith Freeman do not work here, he's fired. So stop playing these silly games, board of trustees, and putting people's lives in jeopardy.
Do what you want, but anything after this is insubordination.
I'm gonna remember this, because at the end of the day, I told you, you guys don't run the day-to-day, the mayor does.
In the latest chapter, Louis Lacey, the deputy police chief and close confidant of the controversial Mayor Tiffany Henyard, has been slapped in the face with federal charges. Lacey, who's been a steadfast supporter of Henyard since she became mayor in 2021, now faces a 9-count indictment. The charges include bankruptcy fraud with accusations that he schemed to hide assets and income to deceive creditors and avoid paying a settlement from an old lawsuit. But Lacey's lawyers claim that these charges are more about pressuring him to flip on Mayor Henyard, who's been at the center of relentless controversy. Henyard's time in office has been anything but smooth, and Lacey has been one of her key allies throughout all this. His indictment only adds to the growing storm surrounding her administration. Just last week, trustees who have been pushing back against Henyard's leadership put Lacey on administrative leave. However, it seems he's not ready to step down quietly. Reports say he's still showing up at work, ignoring the board's orders. Some people are hoping that Lacey might be the final piece of the puzzle in bringing down Mayor Henyard. There are speculations that he could provide crucial evidence to back up the numerous allegations against her, especially those involving the misuse of public funds. If Lacey decides to cooperate, it could be the turning point that finally deals a significant blow to Henyard's string of lawsuits and proves the claims that she's been using taxpayer money for her own benefit.
The acting police chief of Dolton has been charged with bankruptcy fraud. Louis Lacey is accused of filing misleading statements in his 2019 bankruptcy case. Lacey is a close ally of Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard. He's actually the second top aide to Henyard to face federal bankruptcy fraud charges in recent months.
However, Lacey seems to be as hard-headed as they come, remaining fiercely loyal to Henyard despite the mounting pressure. Even his lawyer backed this up, claiming that the feds are only interested in using Lacey to build a criminal case against Mayor Henyard. They're targeting certain people in the village to see who will turn on the mayor. Pizetsky argued. Lacey's loyalty to Henyard, much like that of a devoted dog, shows no signs of wavering, even as the legal noose tightens around him. But here's the plot twist. A new development has surfaced, suggesting that the feds might have had their hands on some evidence that could potentially implicate Tiffany. Now, if you missed the whole Tiffany mayor drama, let's catch you up on this wild ride. It all started when the Board of Trustees had to pick someone to finish the term of the late Mayor Frank Zuccarelli. According to state election laws, the Dolton Township Board had just 60 days to find a replacement. Everyone thought Trustee Joyce Washington, who was the interim supervisor with lots of experience, or Trustee Jerry Jones might get the job. Even Dolton Township Assessor Cassandra Elston was in the running. But as politics go, the board couldn't agree on a single candidate. Then came a surprise twist. Trustee Christopher Gonzalez made a last-minute nomination for Tiffany Henyard. Just minutes before midnight, Henyard was sworn in as the new mayor. For many in the audience, her name came out of nowhere, but it was later revealed that Tiffany had applied for the position long before. It turns out that she was the last resort, and the board's final attempt to avoid letting the public decide. Gonzalez admitted that he didn't want the decision left to the township electors, so he pushed for Tiffany at the last moment, hoping the looming deadline would unite the divided board. Once Tiffany was in the office, her first meetings were pretty routine, where she promised to serve the people with honesty and responsibility. She thanked the board of trustees for their vote and always vowed to put the people first. It always seemed smooth until rumors started flying. People close to the former supervisor claimed Tiffany had a personal vendetta against those loyal to Frank, allegedly feeling threatened by those with experience. She quickly began to assert her control. One of Tiffany Henyard's first actions as mayor was to remove Jessica Jones from her position, with trustee Jerry Jones making the motion and trustee Joyce Washington backing it up. The decision was unanimous, even with trustee Christopher Gonzalez, who had nominated Tiffany for the role, giving his approval. Afterward, Tiffany set her sights on Stephanie Wiedemann, but this time the vote was more contentious, with Gonzalez standing in the opposition. Stephanie Wiedemann had a long history with Dolton Township, having started working there in 2002 in various roles, including a full-time employee and later as a contractor. In June 2021, she was promoted by the late supervisor Frank Zuccarelli to be his executive assistant, with plans to eventually become chief of staff. Wiedemann explained that she was part of Zuccarelli's transition team, working alongside Dr. Jerry Weems, who was brought on as executive director of transitional operations. The plan was for this team to lead through Zuccarelli's retirement, which was expected to occur within 3 years. Wiedemann was involved in preparing Township Assessor Cassandra Elston for the 2025 election. Elston had been nominated 3 times during a Township Board meeting on March 4 to be a new supervisor, but each nomination failed, either due to direct opposition from trustees Washington and Jones or confusion over procedural issues. Unlike Jones, Wiedemann wasn't surprised by her termination. She recalled a meeting with Supervisor Henyard where Henyard made it clear that she wasn't part of her team and didn't trust her and was taking away her job duties. Wiedemann hoped she might be reassigned, giving her long tenure since 2002, but that didn't happen. She tried to advise Henyard on making the transition smoother, but her suggestions were not well received. Despite the turmoil, neither Henyard nor her supervisor, Keith Freeman, responded to requests for comment from the Lansing Journal. But things really started to heat up when rumors spread that Tiffany was bullying other elected officials. Sources claimed that she had a beef with Assessor Cassandra Elston, even locking her out of her office in a fit of rage. When Elston finally got back, she found confidential paperwork scattered in a common area, where it could have easily been seen by dozens of people passing by each day. These documents contained sensitive information, like social security numbers and medical details. After all her actions of firing employees one after another, Tiffany Henyard faces a series of lawsuits filed in March by former Dolton and Thornton Township staff. These legal actions accuse her of a troubling pattern of unlawful firings and retaliation during her time as mayor and township supervisor. Sandra Tracy, a former human resource manager at Thornton Township, is suing Henyard, Thornton Township, and Keith Freeman, who is both Henyard's assistant and the Dolton Village administrator. Tracy claims that she was unfairly fired in September 2022 after taking medical leave for surgery. She started her leave in February 2022, just before Henyard took office. When Tracy returned in June 2022, she was demoted to a clerk role but was denied access to her workspace and eventually locked out of the office. Tracy worked from home or her car for months without pay, while also caring for her sick husband. The stress also led to a heart attack in April 2022. Her lawsuit alleges retaliatory firing, emotional distress, and seeks back pay and damages. Karen Johnson, a former administrative assistant in Dolton's Public Works Department, also sued Henyard and Freeman on March 13. Johnson claims her constitutional rights were violated when she was fired in August 2022. She alleges Henyard forced village employees to work on her recall campaign while on the clock. After the recall vote with Henyard later survived, Johnson says Henyard started retaliating against those who opposed her. Johnson was fired for allegedly using her work computer to look up news about Henyard, and she claims this was part of a broader pattern of retaliation against anyone who disagreed with Henyard. Samisha Williams, who ran for Dolton trustee and worked for the village, has 2 lawsuits. In the federal case, Williams claims that after losing the recall vote, Henyard retaliated against many people, including withholding public records and directing village officials to disregard requests. Williams also alleges that Henyard instructed her to block permits unless residents donated to her campaign. Williams was fired in August 2022 via a letter delivered by a police officer which lacked details about her termination. She is seeking back pay, damages, and attorney fees. Additionally, Williams has a pending lawsuit in Cook County Circuit Court alleging defamation from Henyard during her trustee campaign. And it wasn't long before concerns about her spending habits and financial decisions started to surface among Dolton residents, community leaders, and members of the local government. Many began to question how public funds were being utilized under her administration, especially as reports of extravagant spending emerged. She had been slapped with not one, but two subpoenas, each zeroing in on different aspects of her dealings. The first subpoena is a deep dive into Henyard's personal and business affairs, covering everything from personnel files to checks written to cash from her various ventures, including restaurants she owns, a property management company, her political campaign committee, and a charity in her name. The second subpoena shifts to focus to township finances, demanding everything from budgets and payroll records to rules around credit card purchases and expense reports. The tipping point came when financial records obtained through various public records requests and investigations revealed substantial and questionable expenses charged to the village credit cards. These records showed that Henyard and her allies had spent large sums of money on luxury travel, accommodations, and personal security, all on the taxpayers' dime. One of the most glaring examples of Henyard's alleged financial misconduct is her lavish spending on travel and accommodations. Records obtained through various investigations revealed that Henyard and her allies racked up over $12,000 in travel expense charges to taxpayers within 1 year. These expenses include first-class airfare, stays at luxurious hotels, and extravagant meals, all funded by the very people she was elected to serve. For instance, during her trip to Las Vegas, Henyard and her entourage reportedly spent at least $26,000, a staggering amount considering the fiscal challenges facing Dolton. The trip includes stays at high-end hotels and dining at some of the most expensive restaurants in the city, all at the taxpayers' expense. Such expenditures have raised serious concerns about Henyard's priorities and whether she is more focused on personal luxury than the needs of her constituents. Henyard's spending habits extend beyond just the Las Vegas trip. An analysis of credit card records by WGN Investigates revealed that she had spent $99,000 on a stay at the Four Seasons in Atlanta and $133,000 at the Marriott Marquis in New York City. These figures are shocking, especially considering that Dolton is a village facing significant financial challenges. The expenditures have led many to question whether Henyard is more concerned with her comfort than with the financial well-being of her constituents. Critics argue that such lavish spending is entirely inappropriate for a public official, particularly one serving a community with limited resources. Another questionable financial decision made under Henyard's administration was the staggering salary paid to a village prosecutor. Over 2 years, this individual received $900,000, an amount that far exceeds what is typical for such a position. This has raised suspicions about whether this salary was justified and if there were any ulterior motives behind such an exorbitant payment. Henyard has not provided satisfactory explanations for these expenses, leading to further speculation and mistrust among residents. Some believe that the prosecutor's salary may have been inflated as part of the quid pro quo arrangement or other forms of corruption. Henyard had also been accused of using public funds to favor certain businesses and individuals close to her. For example, a lawsuit alleged that Dolton officials improperly denied a business license to a barbershop owner, giving preferential treatment to other businesses and connections to Henyard. This type of favoritism undermines public trust and raises questions about the authenticity and integrity of Henyard's administration. Additionally, there have been allegations that Henyard has hired friends and family members for government positions, often at inflated salaries. This has led to accusations of nepotism and further fueled the perception that Henyard is using her position to enrich herself and those close to her. Henyard's alleged financial misconduct has not gone unnoticed by federal authorities. The FBI launched an investigation into her administration, focusing on the misuse of public funds among other issues. The investigations, along with multiple lawsuits filed against Henyard, has put her in the legal spotlight, with many expecting criminal charges to follow. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, a former federal prosecutor, was brought in to lead a separate investigation into Henyard's conduct. Lightfoot's investigation is expected to scrutinize all aspects of Henyard's financial dealings, including her lavish spending, the $900,000 salary paid to the village prosecutor, and the alleged favoritism and nepotism within her administration. In addition to the misuse of funds for travel and luxury accommodations, Henyard has also been accused of using Dolton police officers for personal security, again at the taxpayer's expense. This practice has been criticized as an inappropriate use of public resources, especially given the strain on Dolton's police force and community needs for law enforcement services. Henyard's decision to allocate police resources for her personal security raises serious ethical questions and has led to further calls for accountability. The fact that these officers were taken away from their regular duties to serve Henyard's personal needs has been a clear mistreatment of power. And the plot thickens. Just when he thought it couldn't get any worse, another bombshell drops. After former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was hired by the village board to dig into Mayor Tiffany Henyard's financial dealings, she uncovered a financial mess beyond belief. According to Lightfoot's explosive report, Dolton isn't just struggling, it's drowning in debt, with over $3.5 million in the red. To make matters worse, credit card spending in the village has spun completely out of control, leaving anyone questioning how this could happen. This revolution came on the heels of spending practices including taxpayer-funded billboards and lavish dinners, which have raised red flags among her trustees. And here's the kicker. Just as a financial disaster comes to light, Mayor Henyard, who's already been under fire for allegedly misusing taxpayer money, has vanished. She's nowhere to be found, dodging all requests for comments and missing from her office. The timing couldn't be more suspicious, raising even more eyebrows as to what's really going on behind the scenes. Village employees remain tight-lipped about her whereabouts, leaving everyone wondering if she's hiding out as the pressure mounts. Dolton trustee Brittany Norwood spoke out earlier this year, frustrated that trustees were being kept in the dark about the village's finances. She revealed that the last time they received a bank statement was back in September, showing a $7 million debt. Now, with no updated bank statements, they're left guessing about the village's current financial state. Lightfoot's investigation also exposed out-of-control credit card spending, with receipts rarely provided for purchases. Shockingly, the report highlights a single day where $40,000 was spent on Amazon, with no clear accounting for where that money went. The misuse of funds didn't stop there. Questions are swirling about police overtime, with 2 officers earning 6-figure sums in overtime alone, more than doubling their base salaries. Even Deputy Chief Louis Lacey, recently placed on administrative leave, pocketed $96,000 in overtime last fiscal year. Lightfoot didn't mince words, stating, "The village has been unable to pay all of its monthly expenditures with its available cash balance." Yet, in the wake of the damning report, none of the trustees have stepped forward to comment, leaving Dolton's residents to wonder just how deep the financial rabbit hole goes. But the real intrigue lies in what comes next. The subpoenas indicate that the feds are digging deep, seeking information that could expose far-reaching misconduct. Former FBI agent Ross Rice has pointed out the broad scope of these inquiries, suggesting that serious allegations are at play. As we watch this drama unfold, one thing is clear. The outcome of the investigation will have lasting effects on the village, its residents, and possibly the broader political landscape. The twists and turns in the story are far from over, and the final chapter has yet to be written. As one fan said, this self-proclaimed super mayor thought the keys to the kingdom were solely hers to enjoy however she chose, without giving simple thought toward the tax-paying citizens who filled those coffers. Jail her. What do you think? Will Mayor Tiffany Henyard's reign come crashing down, or will Louis Lacey remain loyal to her till the end? Share your thoughts in the comments below. While we wait for the next twist in this unfolding drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out the other videos for more content like this. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates and in-depth stories. Stay tuned.